We keep asking why teenagers cannot put their phones down. But maybe the harder question is this: why does the phone feel safer than real life? Why does a glowing screen feel easier to enter than a classroom, a family dinner, a friendship, or a quiet room with your own thoughts? That is the part we do not want to look at. Because if the phone is the whole problem, the answer is easy: take it away. But if the phone is only where the deeper problem becomes visible, then we have to ask what kind of life made the screen feel like shelter. Something is happening to young people. You can see it in the way many teenagers talk about school. You can see it in the way they struggle to sleep. You can see it in the way they compare themselves to people they have never met. You can see it in the way a quiet room can feel unbearable. More parents are worried. More teachers are worried. More young people say they feel overwhelmed, lonely, distracted, tense, or afraid of falling behind. And when a problem becomes this visible, society looks for a cause. Today, one cause is very easy to see: the phone. The phone is there at breakfast. It is there in the classroom. It is there in bed. It is there in the bathroom. It is there during homework. It is there in the middle of conversations. It is there when a teenager feels bored. It is there when they feel lonely. It is there when they want to be seen, approved, or reassured. It is there when they cannot sleep. So the first conclusion feels obvious: young people are becoming more dependent on their phones. But the deeper question is not only why they use the phone so much. The deeper question is, what are they looking for inside it? Are they looking for distraction? Are they looking for approval? Are they looking for an escape from pressure? Are they looking for a place where reality feels less heavy? Are they looking for proof that they matter? Because many of the behaviors we now associate with phone overuse are not only technology behaviors, they are emotional behaviors: constant checking, fear of missing out, comparing your life to other lives, needing a response, needing a like, avoiding silence, scrolling even when you are tired, staying awake even when your body wants rest. These behaviors do not prove that someone has an anxiety disorder, but they overlap with patterns we often associate with anxiety, restlessness, avoidance, sleep disruption, self-doubt, the need for reassurance, and the fear that something important is happening without you. This is why many people connect phones with rising anxiety, and the connection is not imaginary. Phones can make comparison sharper. They can make loneliness louder. They can make approval feel measurable. They can make ordinary life feel too slow. They can keep the nervous system waiting for the next signal. So it becomes easy to say the phone is causing the anxiety. The phone is the root of the problem. But is that really true? Adults use phones constantly too. We just give it better names. I am working. I am learning. I am relaxing. I am checking one thing. I am staying informed. But adults also check messages with tension in their body. Adults also refresh social media to see whether anyone liked their post. Adults also compare their lives to someone else's vacation, body, marriage, career, family, or success. Adults also avoid silence. Adults also scroll when they feel lonely. Adults also keep the phone close when they cannot sleep. So maybe the phone is not only creating anxiety in teenagers. Maybe it is revealing something that already exists in all of us. Teenagers are simply watched more closely. Adults are better at explaining it away. This is the uncomfortable part. The phone becomes the easiest object to blame, because blaming the phone is easier than asking what kind of life makes the phone feel like shelter. More than 2,000 years ago, Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese thinker behind the Tao Te Ching, warned us about the danger of names. He taught that the name we give to something is never the whole truth of that thing. In modern language, we might say, the moment we give a complex pain a simple label, we may stop looking for its deeper cause. Screen time, phone addiction, social media damage, teen anxiety. These names are not meaningless. They point to something real, but they can also become shortcuts, and shortcuts are dangerous when the road is complicated. If we say the phone is the enemy, then the solution becomes simple. Take the phone away, limit the hours, block the app, ban it from school. And sometimes, limits are necessary. A teenager does not need a device beside their pillow all night. A child does not need an infinite feed replacing sleep, homework, friendship, boredom, and silence. But if we stop there, we may mistake control for healing. Because the deeper question is not only, how much time are they spending on the phone? The deeper question is, what kind of life are they returning to when the phone is taken away? Are they returning to rest or pressure? Are they returning to friendship or loneliness? Are they returning to a home where people are present, or a home where everyone is exhausted in separate rooms? Are they returning to a school that helps them grow, or a system that makes them feel evaluated every hour of the day? Are they returning to a body they can live in, or a world that keeps teaching them their body is a project to improve? Are they returning to a self, or only to another performance? This is why blaming the phone can feel so satisfying. The phone is visible. The phone is measurable. The phone can be confiscated. But loneliness cannot be confiscated. A culture of comparison cannot be put in a drawer. Parental absence cannot be fixed with a screen time setting. Academic pressure cannot be solved by deleting an app. A life without real community cannot be healed by blaming the device people use when community is missing. That does not make the phone innocent. It makes the problem more honest. Lao Tzu also understood that too much stimulation can damage perception. Too many colors and the eye stops seeing. Too many sounds and the ear stops hearing. Too many flavors and the mouth loses its taste. He was not talking about smartphones, but he was talking about the human mind. He understood that more input does not always mean more life. Sometimes too much stimulation makes us less alive. That is what endless scrolling can do. One more image, one more message, one more comparison, one more joke, one more outrage, one more body to judge your body against, one more life to make your life feel smaller. The mind keeps moving, but it is not necessarily becoming freer. It is being trained to avoid quiet. It is being trained to fear boredom. It is being trained to confuse attention with connection. It is being trained to confuse being seen with being known. For one person, the phone is just a tool. For another person, it becomes a way to manage anxiety. For another, it becomes a way to numb depression. For another, it becomes a way to avoid loneliness. For many people, it becomes all three. This is why the question must be precise. Not, are phones good or bad? That question is too simple. The better question is, what happens when a vulnerable mind meets a machine designed to keep it engaged? What happens when a lonely teenager is given infinite contact but very little real closeness? What happens when an anxious teenager is given endless reasons to worry, compare, check, and return? What happens when a tired adult tells a child to stop escaping into a screen while using the same screen to escape from their own life? This last question matters, because young people do not only learn from what adults say, they learn from the life adults actually live. Lao Tzu pointed toward a kind of teaching that does not depend on constant speech. A life teaches before a lecture does. An example teaches before a rule does. If adults say, put your phone down while we cannot eat one meal without checking ours, the child hears the rule, but they see the truth. If adults say, "Go outside," while we have built neighborhoods without freedom, safety, time, or community, the child hears the instruction, but they feel the emptiness behind it. If adults say, "Stop comparing yourself," while the whole adult world worships status, beauty, productivity, income, achievement, and personal branding, the child hears the advice, but they inherit the anxiety. This is not about blaming parents. Parents are often exhausted too. Many adults are caught in the same machine, with more bills, more work, more pressure, and better excuses. But that is exactly the point. The phone is not only a teenage problem, it is a human problem inside a culture that has made escape easier than presence. Lao Tzu gives us another warning: to know that you do not fully know is wisdom. To pretend you know what you do not know is a sickness. This matters because the easiest answer is usually the most emotionally satisfying. Phones cause the crisis. Parents cause the crisis. Schools cause the crisis. Technology companies cause the crisis. Teenagers are weak. Society is broken. Each statement may contain a piece of truth, but none of them is enough by itself. Young people's anxiety is not a one-cause problem. It is what happens when sleep, comparison, loneliness, pressure, uncertainty, family stress, school stress, social stress, and digital design all press on the same nervous system. The phone may be the brightest part of the pattern, but brightness is not the same as root cause. So what would a deeper response look like? Not pretending phones are harmless. Not pretending every teenager can self-regulate inside an infinite attention machine. Not pretending screen limits are useless. But also not pretending that taking away the phone rebuilds a meaningful life. Lao Tzu points us back towards simplicity. Not simplicity as nostalgia, not simplicity as anti-technology. Simplicity as a return to what the mind actually needs: sleep, silence, unmeasured time, real friendship, shared meals, outdoor space, adults who are emotionally present, a home that does not feel like another performance arena, a school life that does not turn every child into a ranked product, a world where a young person can be ordinary without feeling worthless. This is what it means to return to the root. If the phone is making anxiety louder, reduce its power. Set boundaries. Protect sleep. Remove the phone from the bedroom. Make space for boredom again. But do not confuse silence from the device with peace in the person. Peace has to be rebuilt. Connection has to be rebuilt. Trust has to be rebuilt. A life worth returning to has to be rebuilt. Maybe the question is not only, are phones making teenagers anxious? Maybe the deeper question is, why are so many young people already so easy for the phone to capture? And maybe the most uncomfortable question is, what are we asking them to come back to? That is the question Lao Tzu would not let us avoid. Because when we blame the brightest object in the room, we may miss the condition of the room itself. And a generation's anxiety is not healed by finding a convenient enemy. It is healed by returning to the root.